Video number 4, accompaniment versus presence. And for this, I'm going to ask Joaquin to help me out to understand and to help me to explain what is the difference between these two, what it is, verbs or these two words.
Yes. So accompany versus presence is a term and a phrase that we like to use here at Salvio very often, just because it helps our experience and it helps the oratorian's experience. So when you're accompanying somebody through an experience or through an activity or something, you're enjoying, you're involved, you're actively participating with the oratorian, with the person. And with presence, you're kind of just observing. You're laid back, you're watching them, you're not really feeling what they're feeling. And the difference is you're not really gonna build a connection with somebody if you're just watching them. Whereas like if you're accompanying them through the experience and through the day at our oratory, then you'll get to bond with that person. You'll get to build the trust, build the family, build the things that make a home, which is what our oratorians come to oratory and which they expect.
Now, what is interesting is there is no accompaniment without presence. And that's actually kind of cool. Let me tell you the story where all this idea Don Bosco brought up to. So at one point, there was this new clerk, which is this new priest, who was ordained, and he didn't connect with young people. So he goes to Don Bosco and says, Don Bosco, I have been trying so hard to connect with young people. I just can't. I don't know what it is. And he says to this priest, he says, have you tried actually connecting with them in their level? Like, for example, there is this water fountain. Every time the young people are running, and why not? They always go to this water fountain and they drink the water. How about you stand over there and you just chit-chat with the young people? And it was interesting because he stood over there when the young people will come to drink water, and he would say, hey, how are you doing? How was your game? That's so nice. How is everything? How do you feel? And it was interesting because that presence actually made the effort to start accompanying them. And what is interesting is later on the young people will come and say, hey, come on, let's play with us. And then he will become involved. So imagine this. I mean, we need to be so attentive to realities that we sometimes don't imagine, We are working over here in the youth center, everybody's around, and suddenly you see a kid sitting down over there by himself. What would you do? And I think the answer to that question will make the difference. If you will be just standing and looking at him and say, oh, that's the kid over there is sitting for the last 15 minutes, and I don't care, you just lost a beautiful opportunity. But if you see a kid sitting down over there and you go and sit with them and say, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? And sometimes it's so amazing because it has happened to me that I found a kid sitting by himself, and I go and sit next to him and say, are you okay? And he's like, yes. I said, you want to talk? And they're like, no. I said, okay, if you want to talk, I'm here. And suddenly they start talking. You see, that is the difference between accompaniment and presence. It's not just the fact of being here, but it's the fact of being involved, as you explained. I think you did it beautifully. Anything else that you want to talk about accompaniment or?
I think it's so important that we know that accompaniment versus presence not only affects the child that you're working with, but also your experience. If you're just here trying to get your service hours and you're just enjoying from a distance, you're not really gonna wanna come back. And I think our motive is for you to feel safe here, for you to have a home, and for you to experience these activities that are planned for you are not only for the kids, but they're also for you. They're dedicated for you guys, for everybody, just to have fun and experience what it's like to be a kid again. So.
And I love something that Joaquin was saying that I wasn't thinking about, the inner child. What is interesting is that each one of us, we have an inner child that sometimes has been smashed, has been squished by society and doesn't allow us to be ourselves. And I think you have the opportunity over here to bring that inner child and to have fun and to enjoy and to do things that you will never do in different places, like being crazy, like painting yourself, those type of things, that just being part of it. And I think getting into that is when you actually start developing this. Now, there are 3 levels of accompaniment that I think I want to talk about really quick. The first accompaniment is the one-on-one accompaniment. Like, for example, with Joaquin, so many times we sit, we plan, what are we going to do with these videos? How do you feel? What is things, That's the personal accompaniment. The second accompaniment is actually the group accompaniment. You know that normally we having a youth group that you will feel when you come to us and we have the meetings and then we accompany. And the third accompaniment, which is actually an amazing one, is the environmental accompaniment. That means that all of us together create this environment where young people feel welcome and they can develop to be the best persons that they can be. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This has been video number 4. We'll see in the next video that we'll be talking about
Westie.
Westie, and that will be interesting.